We have Matt Birk here, Super Bowl 47 champion, of course, 2012 Raven, that magical Joe Flacco run. So hello to everybody on Locked on Ravens, everybody on Locked on NFL listening to this as well. My first question for you is, I've always been curious about the vibe in the locker room when the power went out in that game. And you guys had the crazy lead. How hard is it to stay hyped up for that game when you have a crazy lead and stuff, almost give it up? Because of maybe because of the momentum shift. I guess my question is twofold. What was it like in that locker room when you're just kind of sitting there waiting? And then do you think that had to do with the 49ers being able to almost smelt that comeback?
Well, we were in the locker room. We just stayed on the sidelines because really nobody knew
Sure.
what was going on. And I said, you're so locked in that when that happened, we were just like, okay, well, how long till we play again? 45 minutes? Okay. You don't have the perspective like maybe when you're watching at home thinking like, oh my gosh, how the heck does the power go out in the Super Bowl? You're just like, okay, 45 minutes. I mean, certainly I think it had something to do with the 49ers were able to catch their breath. I don't know if they made some, I don't think they made like crazy adjustments. I think they just got a chance to settle down a little bit. We came out and some of the mistakes that we made were self-inflicted. And, that gave them life and gave them hope. And, fortunately, our lead was big enough that we were able to hold on at the very end. But that's not something that you can probably ever prepare for, is a 45-minute break in the middle of the third quarter because there's a power outage. That's just something that happens, and it happened at an unfortunate time for us. But that's just, I guess they say be ready for anything, but I don't think anybody could figure that.
Sure. And I guess the other thing I want to know is, you've played for a number of coaches in your career, from Denny Green, Tice, Childress, and John Harbaugh, who's still coaching for the Ravens today. So tell me what it's like to be a part of a John Harbaugh team, especially in comparison. I mean, you got a players guy like Mike Tice, total strict guy like Brad Childress. What about a guy like John Harbaugh? Where does he fall in that kind of spectrum?
It sounds cliche, but tough but fair. But what John does as well as anybody is he creates the culture, and he's like, this is what it means to be a Raven. And then him being the leader holds everybody accountable to that standard every single day, including his coaches, his players. Like, that's his number one thing. It's not what plays are we running on offense or what blitzes are we running this week on defense. Sure he's involved in that, but you can just tell his number one thing, he just doesn't stop. We had this thing, it was called Play Like a Raven. And just every single day, you watch the film, he'd stop it. Is this playing like a Raven? This is not. This is playing like a Raven. And so I think that, he was just able to get the best out of everybody and the best out of us as a group because, he worked as hard. But, you wanted to be part of the Ravens. You were proud to be associated with that brand and the type of football that we played and what we were aspiring to be every single week. And that, and coupled with the fact that John, win, lose or draw, he was just so consistent in who he was and his expectations of us. And Wednesday practice, Thursday practice, it was like every day was game day. But just because of I think the person that he is, he was able to get everybody to kind of rise to the occasion and do a little bit more than maybe even we thought we could do.
That is super awesome. And I guess that brings me to the current Ravens. We were just talking earlier about how power is not as popular in the NFL unless you're the Ravens. And the way that they do that, and then they tack option things onto it, and it's sort of an offense from the 40s, and it's sort of nothing we've ever seen before. What do you think about that as a guy who maybe ran a little bit of power back in the day? What do you think of the way the Ravens are there's nobody else like them in this league right now?
Well, that's what I like about it is, everybody wants to find the franchise quarterback. There's only like 6 of those guys on the earth, So everybody keeps trying to draft this prototypical passer. The Ravens had a chance to get Lamar Jackson, and they said, hey, we think this guy's a special talent. He's dynamic, but in different ways. And so when they drafted him, they didn't try to get Lamar to fit their system. They went out and found a system or created a system that fit that fit Lamar. And I mean, that's what good coaches do. You find the strengths of your players, and when the quarterback, you kind of have to build the rest of the team around him. And so it was a big chance. It was a big risk. It was something hard to do, but that's what the Ravens do. You know, they're not afraid.
They go their
of
own
that.
way.
They're not worried. John Harbaugh and Steve Bisciotti and Ozzie Newsome and Eric DeCosta, they're not worried about what other people might say.
Yeah.
They're not worried about failing. And I think the early returns are very, very good. I think Lamar Jackson is one of the. I think he's the most exciting player in the NFL. I think he's the biggest problem for opposing defenses to stop. Now, people are going to always point to the playoffs, and again, until he wins, goes deep in the playoffs or wins a Super Bowl, they're going to say, see, I told you it couldn't work. But there's a lot of teams that's not working for that are trying to throw the ball like everybody else. So that doesn't really matter. I'm I kind of say this. I'm a Ravens fan, and I'm proud to be a Ravens fan. I like the brand of football that they play.
Yeah, it's made me a bit of a Ravens fan too. And I will go on record. I think there's a ring in there somewhere. But Matt, hey, thank you so much for giving so much of your time to Locked On NFL, Locked On Vikings, Locked On Ravens. Supersquares.com, right?
Supersquares.com, or download the free app. You can play right now, make your predictions, and play on Sunday. And we'll have about 300 winners in our Squares game this Sunday, 100% free.
Love it. I will get right on that. Matt, thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Good to talk to you, Luke.